Hello and welcome to the first of some special editions of the Formbook. Cheltenham Festival previews. We're kicking off with day one. And this episode of the Coral Cheltenham Formbook is brought to you by the Coral Reward Shaker, with 100,000 free bets up for grabs every day of the Cheltenham Festival. It's free to play and daily. Coral's here to make this Cheltenham more rewarding. 18 plus UK online only, max one reward offer per player per day, operates between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and reward restrictions, requirement and T's and C's apply. Please remember to gamble responsibly. But thanks to Coral for their support. Look forward to seeing how we get on over the next few shows. But delighted to say for the first two shows, we're going to be joined by Jake Price and Tom Stanley to go through the action on day one. Tom, we're still a couple of weeks out. We're recording this on the Friday, even before Constitution Hill runs. But the Cheltenham bandwagon has well and truly started. Irish press trips, British press trips coming up this week as well.
Yeah, it's the biggest week of jumps racing, isn't it? It's had a few knocks over the last couple of years, I know, experience-wise, competition-wise, but I think it's going to be really good this year. It feels more competitive than ever going into it. You look at the Champion Hurdle and the Gold Cup, like they're proper imponderable races. And I think some of the moves that they've had races-wise are going to work really well too. So, yeah, I've got proper warmed up for it now. Saudi Cup is behind me. I've still got one more trip to Dubai, but I'm Cheltenham focused here on him.
Yeah, we all need a bit of sunshine before the festival as well. Jake, obviously a Formbook regular. How are we? You looking forward to the festival? Must be a busy time. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, no trips to Dubai over here. It's all Cheltenham Festival. Entries for the handicaps came out last week, and we've got the weights coming up this week. So very busy time of year, but very excited. And yeah, everything leads towards those 4 days in March.
Well, look, let's get straight into it then. The first race, of course, is the Supreme Novices Hurdle. And your favourite with Coral at the moment at 7-4 is Old Park Star. 7-2 about Talk the Talk. It looks like, hearing from Joseph O'Brien this week, that the plan is probably to run in the Supreme. El Kairos at 11-2. Mighty Park at 7-1. Leader Dallier at 10s, along with My Daddy Paddy and Idaho's Son. Sober Glory, King Rasco Grey at 14-1. Look, at the moment, we don't know for sure where some of those are going to line up. It looks like even Willie Mullins might have Leader Dallier as his leading hope in the race. But Tom, what have you made of the British so far, Old Park Star in particular?
Very good, Old Park Star. I've been really impressed with everything he's done. He hails from the right yard, if you like, for this race. Nicky's got an excellent record in it and a good recent record as well. And I've been mega impressed with what he's done over obstacles since he made that move. 3 from 3, obviously, and I think he's the right favourite. I'm positive about him. I'm not a massive Talk the Talk fan for this race, and I know a lot of people are, but I don't think he's entirely straightforward. Obviously, Leopardstown was a funny one when he came down because he looked like he was going to go and win the race, but he jumped okay last time. But he'd shown jumping frailties, I thought, prior to that. And then you might take the view that you mark him up for last time because he got JJ Slevin out of a bit of trouble, having had to switch wide and just got up to win a short head. But and it looked even closer than that on the line. But I don't think he's straightforward, and I think you've got to be in a Supreme, to be honest. And I think Old Park Star is just that. So I would much rather be with him than Talk the Talk. I'm a big Old Park Star fan. He's around about 9-4 for a reason. So I want him on side. And the other one I wanted to flag up is My Daddy Paddy. He was beaten by Idaho's Son last time in a bit of a nonsense of a race when they didn't jump all the obstacles. I having watched that back a few times, and I know that Harry Fry doesn't agree. I think he'll reverse that form. And I think he's just slipped under the radar a little bit now. And at double figures, I think he's one. I'll have another look on the morning of the race if he does line up. But I think he's one I want to have on side. A chunky enough price given the profile he did have coming into it.
So 10-1, My Daddy Paddy at the moment with Coral. What about yourself, Jake? I'd have similar concerns with Talk to Talk. Just I think his hurdling would be a bit of a concern for me. Where do you sort of fall down on this?
Yeah, for sure. And something I can't shake is the fact he started in October and he's been running all the way through. I can't imagine that you'd be thinking in October that this is a Supreme horse when he won a maiden hurdle at Limerick. So that is something that, again, would just be something that I'd have a concern about. El Kairos is another one I have concerns for. I think he's got bags and bags of speed. It's just, can he get his legs all organised going down to the second last on that tight turn, and then obviously the last as well. So he would probably not be for me either. Again, just won a maiden hurdle as well, which is you'd want to see some greater form, wouldn't you, for backing something in a Supreme. And Old Park Star is where I would come down as well. I think that his win in the Rossington Main was just super impressive. Nico was just giving me a little slap down the neck turning for home, and you were wondering what he would find, and he just went and absolutely shot away and maintained that strong gallop all the way to the line. So you have to be impressed by him. You'd have to think that the Supreme is going to suit him absolutely perfectly, can track any sort of pace, can make some pace if he needs to. He's just a proper relentless galloper. I guess Mighty Park is kind of the fly in the ointment if he turned up here. He's obviously went to Ferry House and absolutely bolted up, won by 38 lengths. There's been Fahim comparisons from Willie Mullins, which is quite interesting. With him, though, you just don't know if he's going to turn up here or the turners at this stage. So it makes it very hard to have a strong view on him.
Okay, I'll take a chance with El Kairos. I'm a bit of a sucker for a turn of foot, and if he can just get his legs together. I thought he ran really well last year when you could argue he had a slight penalty on his back in the champion bumper. So,
can I chuck a question at you guys just on what size field do we think we're going to get? Because a few of the old school stats about this race in recent years have gone out the window a bit because we haven't had the depth necessarily. Do we think we're going to get a high teens number in here, or do we not think that's likely? Because if we do, it could come down to, back in when you required experience and you required a real sort of sound horse mentally here to deal with the atmosphere and everything that the first race at Cheltenham can pose. What do we think about field size?
I think it's a certain to be double figures, isn't it? Like there's going to be good 12, 13, 14 minimum, and then it depends how many of the outsiders want to take on and have a go at the big guns, isn't it? There's a lot of nice horses at the top of the market. Old Park Star, Talk the Talk, El Kairos. That you would, if you're a trainer who's got a horse who's not quite up to the level, would you want to go and take them on? Would you rather go to a Turners? I think the Turners might be the one that fails completely.
Okay.
And interesting, even looking at the price of Baron Noir, like each to their own. Barry Connell said he's going to run. Mossy Fen Road. I mean, Harry Durham seems convinced. So there is a few at a lively price, sort of William Money-esque, would you say, sort of Tom, that could run into a place from a bit of value perspective?
Yeah, it's one that I'll look at on the day when it comes down to how many we've got in there, and obviously ground as well. Like that's going to be key to look at, given how high the water tables are going to be if you do get a bit of rain in the few days before. But it'd be one for me that I look at if we do look like we've got there'll be one experienced horse who's probably below the level required, or definitely below the level required, but at a price you're going, well, he's solid, he's sound, he's there are no question marks about him mentally or experience wise that can sneak into a place. But it'll be a job for on the day for me.
Okay, that's the Supreme, so the guys with Old Park Star. Next up is the Arkle, and maybe this could be a small field. Lulamba at the moment is the 5-4 favourite with Coral. Kopek de Board is 9-4. Romeo Coolio and Cargeese at 9-2. Irish Panther, Steel Alley at 12s. Cabadry Pike at 14s, and bigger prices about the remainder. Jake, come to you first. I mean, Lulamba's got the form, you'd argue, given he just won the game spirit, but obviously Kopek de Board, his price continues to shorten based on a gallop more than anything. What have you made of that in recent days?
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because obviously Lulamba, as you said, has had the experience. He's had the full campaign, the full novice chase campaign, going through the races you'd expect at Sandown and Newbury. Whereas Kopek de Board made a sparkling debut, probably a debut that took the eye more than Lulamba's debut did. But he's obviously not been seen since, having picked up that small issue that needed surgery. So the fact he missed the Irish Arkle was probably a blessing in disguise at this stage, and the fact that Cargeese and Romeo Coolio had such a tough battle that day. I'm not sure that he would have wanted that on his first start for such a long time, and then obviously tried to back up in the Arkle. So perhaps being left off track was probably the best idea for him. But obviously you now have those concerns about, does he have enough experience to win a race like this, albeit we know he's definitely got the talent to win a race like this, having won the Supreme as he likes. So yeah, it's one of those conundrums now where you can see why the prices started to come in, because I do think it did get quite big. I think it got up to around 4-1, which, at that stage you're thinking, okay, you could probably take the chance. As soon as they get closer and closer together as we get towards the off, that's when you sort of start making a decision. And Lalamba obviously was extremely impressive against his elders as well in the game Spirit Chase. I know they weren't top class elders; they were proper Grade 2 horses, but he still went and beat them nicely despite looking in trouble. And his jumping is always something that's looks a bit bigger than what Kopech's did on his debut, where he was nice and slick. So I'd probably just side with Kopech, just purely on talent. And the fact that, he's had this racecourse gallop at Punchestown, I think they're going to get another one into him as well. They're trying to do as much as they can in terms of getting the experience into him jumping fences at race pace. Obviously, he was up against Imperet Pass the last day, which everyone is now probably over-egging considering he's won since. But that would probably be the way I lean, albeit I do have maximum respect for Lalamba as well.
Tom, I mean, both worked in the game a while. The one thing I've never really seen before is the owners are sort of leading the media focus with Kopech de board in a way, sort of. Whereas Willie Mullins, it was interesting when he was talking to Gary O'Brien on the channel the other day, sort of saying, I don't need to do the talking because Danny Mullins and the McCarthys are doing it for me. What do you sort of make of that just from a perspective?
Well, Charlie McCarthy's just got no filter. Like he's brilliant. I love him. But I can imagine when, like, given the character that Willie Mullins is, he's like, oh, well, you do your thing, Charlie. I'm not gonna. Willie's not gonna give much away. Yeah, I think he's great for the game. I think the McCarthys are, and you want those smaller owners to be having horses like this. His reaction last year was fantastic, and it's great that we know so much about Kopech's travails, but he's. Yeah, I don't know why I haven't warmed to Lalamba. I can't really work it out because obviously you look at it and you think, well, he's 3 from 3 over fences. He looks a far better chase than he was hurdler. I wasn't made up with the Triumph form last year, and he's surpassed what I thought he was capable of. And then I look at Lalamba at Newbury last time, and to an extent at Sandown, and I go, well, a fast run 2 miles, Cheltenham might be caught on his feet. But then I remember who won the race last year, and it was an out-and-out 3-miler Django Bay for the same yard. So I'm tying myself up in knots, but I'm going to agree really with what Jake has said, and that is that at the prices currently, with Kopech de board, around about. Let's see what he is with Coral, but he's around about 9 to 4. I would rather have that on side. I think he is. I'm not too worried that we've only seen him once over obstacles. I think he's the better horse on his day, and I think he's potentially the more natural at this distance. So I would just about side with him, but I wouldn't. That's almost because I back myself into a corner with Lalamba. I can't suddenly back him on the day because I've been pretty negative about him from the start. And
Tom, does Romeo Coolio run?
Yeah. Well, I don't think he probably will, won't he? I mean, if unless you're dealing with good, unless it's looking quicker than good to soft, although it never is. I think he probably will. It's a shame for him that there's not a 2.5 race here. And maybe they'll wait. Maybe they won't get a Cheltenham at all. I think he'll probably run, but he wouldn't. If I've got concerns about the way Lalamba goes about it over 2, then I've got to have concerns about Romeo Coolio.
What do you think, Jake? Will he run?
I think he will, but it's purely owner based. I think if Gordon had his way, he'd be going to Fairyhouse for the Willow Warm Gold Cup, which looks a race that would suit him absolutely perfectly. But yeah, the connections want to go to Cheltenham, don't they? That's the whole syndicate is about keeping the dream alive, and that's what they want to do. So I'd imagine what will happen.
Okay, that's a look then at the Arkle Kopech de board then for the guys. Next race to look at is going to be the Champion Hurdle, but before that, Coral are celebrating 100 years. 1926 was set up, and they're still going strong. And for that memory, we want to have a look back at the lads' favourite memories of the Champion Hurdle. So, Tom, I'll come to you first. What race sticks in your mind for the 2-mile hurdling championship?
It's an obvious one. It's a recent one, but it's because of where I was stood when Constitution Hill jumped from outside the wings to go and win the Champion Hurdle. Niall Hannity, I was not far from him. He was smart enough to take a picture as well, and I wish I'd done that. And yeah, it was just unreal when he took off. I remember gasping, and I'm very fortunate that my job for Racing TV is to be down near the last hurdle and picking up any connections there and talking the horses out onto the track. So it's the perfect position to see him take off. And it was absolutely outstanding. And this year I went to do the same thing, right? Or in 2025, and I was stood by the last with my phone out. And then obviously he came down and I was like, well, I'm not going to take a picture of him, but I should have kept the phone out because of the drama at the last when State Man came down and Brighter Days Ahead ran into him. So, there you go. You learn your lesson. But yeah, that Constitution Hill jump at the last is my favourite.
Jake, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the one that was probably the first one I ever really had a bet on, and that was Annie Power winning it in 2016. Obviously, she had a very lofty reputation, had broken everyone's heart the year before in the Mares Hurdle, and this was her day where she showed, put it all together, and she showed that she's a proper mare. The way that she went on and won that race under Ruby Walsh was very impressive. Mike Tent or yours, a gallant second, as he always seemed to be. But yeah, the way that era of Rich Ritchie horses just stick in the memory, don't they? The likes of a Valtor, the likes of Annie Power, the likes of a Vroom Vroom Mag, even, all these type of horses were so good. And she was probably the pick of the bunch.
I'm going to go back to 2005 and I was 9. And mine's always got to be Archibald's heartbreaking defeat. I was a Paul Carberry and Timmy Murphy fanboy. Thought Carberry had it all sewn up, and Hardy Eustace broke a lot of hearts. But I'll never forget that race. Incredible finish to that Champion Hurdle. What about this year, though? Kerry, what at the moment you could have the New Line, Brighter Days Ahead, Constitution Hill, Lossiemouth, Golden Ace all in the mix. Before I look at the betting, just again, Tom, will Lossiemouth run in this race, do you think? Or will they take the mare's route?
Mullins, I'm pretty sure would, if he had his way, would run her in the mare, because he always, he always goes for his best chance of winning a race at Cheltenham. But I'm going to tell you who I'd back if she lined up, and I think she would be her. I fancy she'll run in the mares. Yeah, I fancy she'll run in the mares. And, it might hinge weirdly on what Constitution Hill does, because if he goes and romps home at Southwell and proves he's in fine fettle, then he might shorten in the market, and that'll make their decision for ridiculously how a race at Southwell could affect where Lossiemouth runs. But I have to go with what Mullins tends to do, and that I'm just edging towards her probably running in the mares.
Okay, so it's 5-2 joint favourites at the moment, the New Line, and Brighter Days Ahead with Coral. Lossiemouth 11-4. As Tom said, Constitution Hill runs tonight. He's currently 3-1. Defending champion Golden Ace is 6-1. Poneros at 16s, along with Amsterdam, 20s for Alexi, Tutti Quanti, and Ballyburn. Constitution Hill first, then, Jake. Obviously, we haven't seen him run yet. See how he gets on tonight. But my opinion is, I'm not sure they're desperate to run him. I think if he disappoints tonight, the decision gets taken out of their hands, because I still think there's a lot of concerns about what happens if, God forbid, the worst did happen, just from my own perspective. But what do you think?
Yeah, I would kind of agree, just purely on the pressure that would be on Nicky and Nico. Should he run in the Champion Hurdle, and should something happen like that, that's just going to be so hard to explain, isn't it? So I would probably be leaning right now on the side that he won't be running. It's hard to say, isn't it, that winning at Southwell is going to be the reason why he would go for a Champion Hurdle. But just the way he's been jumping the last few times, it puts him in between a rock and a hard place, doesn't it? And I would not envy having to make the decision that they have to make.
What about you, Tom? I know it's a tricky thing to say before he's run, but where do you sort of side on that sort of argument about whether he should run at all in the race?
There's more for the sport to lose than gain by him running in it. But equally, he's a jump spread horse who is, going to be asked to do a job if he runs in it that he's bred to do. So. I think it is important that he proves himself in good nick tonight, and I think there is a bit riding on it. Like if he runs below expectation or disappointingly, he can't really run in the Champion Hurdle, because it doesn't say he's in great nick. if he goes and wins nicely and looks fab, then there's more reason to run, or there are fewer reasons not to run, I should say. So I don't know what they'll do, but it's been pretty clear that all in that they've been gearing up to running him in it, and that I think they're leaning towards wanting to run him in it. And dare I say, if he wins well tonight, there will be some videos emerging from home of him schooling, and we, try and get ahead of the narrative and be on the front foot about him having a Champion Hurdle campaign. Whatever happens, I couldn't back him just because my head's too fried with him anyway. I'll just be watching him and praying that he gets around, and would love it if he won.
What about yourself then, Jacob? The race in general, Tom, would like Lossiemouth if she does run, where would you be siding?
Yeah, there's a lot of agreement here, but I would be the exact same. I think her current non-runner no bet price is really, really good and worth taking now, because something Willie Mullins said in his stable tour was that they'd have to be really happy with her to run in the Champion Hurdle. So if she's turning up here, it means they're happy with her. And, I think she's the most talented horse in the race. Okay, she's got to turn around form with Brighter Days Ahead, but if you look at their records, Lossiemouth is 4 from 4 at Cheltenham. Brighter Days Ahead is obviously 0 from 2 at Cheltenham. And then if you look at the Leopardstown records as well, Lossiemouth is 2 from 5 at Leopardstown, whereas Brighter Days Ahead is 2 from 3. And the one where she got beat was obviously by Lossiemouth over Christmas, where she probably had excuses of needing the run. So I think that Lossiemouth just absolutely loves Cheltenham. I don't think it really matters what trip. If we go back to that Annie Power memory I've just spoken about, she was running in a Stayers Hurdle 2 years before she won the Champion Hurdle. Obviously went back to the Mares, fell, and then went back to the Champion Hurdle. Good horses, talented horses can win over whatever trip they're trained to win over. And she's won the 2 big Irish Champion Hurdle trials, Morgian and the December Hurdle, and was second in the Irish Champion, where she, from an early stage, she didn't quite look right, I don't think. So I'd be more than willing to excuse that. And if she ran, she would be, for me, by far, I think she's the most talented horse in the race, and the £7 allowance is absolutely huge.
And if you had to have a dart, if you didn't run, where would you be siding?
Yeah, if she didn't run, that's where it gets a bit more tricky, because there's not a lot of depth, is there? Brighter Days Ahead would be the obvious starting point. She's got to overcome this Cheltenham Hoodoo. I know they've made excuses for last year, but the way that race panned out with Stateman falling, Constitution Hill falling, she should have been bang there. She shouldn't have had anything left to beat, really, other than obviously Golden Ace. And you would have liked to have seen her give Golden Ace a race for that, what would have been second, but it ended up being first place. So the fact that she was nowhere near really does put me off. I think the New Lion is interesting, but he's a horse, like as Tom mentioned about the Lambo, I've just been against him all season, and it would put me in a real corner to back him here, but potentially that would be the way I have to play it, should Lossiemouth not turn up.
And what about yourself, Tom? Similar question if Lossiemouth doesn't run.
It's like really dull that Jake and I'm agreeing with so much that he's saying. I'm sure we'll get through it. But I was against the New Lion from the start of the season. I put him up on another podcast as a horse to be against this year as a 2-mile hurdler. And now he's favourite for flipping Champion Hurdle, even though I don't think, he's not done much right. He's just done less wrong than a few of them, if you like. But he is the most likely winner, isn't he? Which is kind of frustrating. But I couldn't back him. Brighter Days Ahead. I think Brighter Days Ahead is actually slightly more talented than Lossiemouth, but like Jake says, not at Cheltenham. Couldn't touch her at this track because of what's happened the last couple of times, where she's been way below par. Couldn't touch Constitution Hill. Lossiemouth, if she runs, thank you. I think she's perfect for the race, and I think she'll win. And then, going at this stage, I don't know. If Cashildale Lad runs, is that as a pace setter, if you like, for Brighter Days Ahead? I think he's fairly talented, but it'll be a decision on the day for me. I just hope Lossiemouth turns up, because she would be a very strong opinion bet for me.
Would you be concerned about the defending champ not running at Wincanton, or would you ignore that?
I feel like she is someone a horse you're backing because you think others aren't going to perform, which may well be the case. She's not for me. I know we haven't seen her for a little bit. I think she'll turn up and run her race. She just needs 2 to underperform. And she's all of a sudden she's not 25 to 1, is she? She's about 7 to 1. So that's why I wouldn't be backing her now.
Jake, one other one to mention if Lossiemouth doesn't run, Poneros. Caught the eye for a couple of people when last seen. Big ask though, isn't it?
Yeah, he was very eye-catching the last day, but it's just a shame he doesn't have the experience to run in a county hurdle. I think that would be the perfect spot for him. I don't think he's quite proven to be grade 1 level in open company, but a handicap off his current mark would be actually quite interesting. But obviously, he hasn't had the amount of runs. It'll be interesting to see if that's who Paul Townend goes with. I guess you'd have to choose between him and Amsterdam if Lossiemouth didn't run, which, you know, is another reason why I think Lossie will end up coming here, because I just don't think they've got anything else that they could challenge with.
Okay, let's look at the Champion Hurdle then from the guys. Obviously, the other races on the card now, given they sort of turned the calendar around a little bit. You start off at 2:40 with the the Fred Winter. It's now called the McCoy Contractors Juvenile Handicap Hurdle. It's had more sponsors than I've had hot dinners, but the Saratoga is 6-1, along with Winston Jr. Manlager and Selma de Veri at 8s. Ames, Madness Dell, Monge 2, Manila Yoga all 10s, Munsif, Mustang de Broy, and the Mighty Celt all 12s as well. Like, we don't have the handicaps marked yet, but when I said we were going to do this show, Jake, I said, have you got any fancies in the other races? And you're quite keen on one in the green and gold.
Yeah, for sure. I've nailed my colours to the mast here quite early, but Saratoga just has everything for me here. I know he's been well supported to show that, but he's had 3 very quick runs over hurdles to get him qualified. 31st of December through to the 7th of February was his 3 runs. Jumped better on each occasion. The last day, obviously, he was just behind Highland Crystal, which I thought was a very good run. And because he was receiving weight, I don't think the handicapper could be too harsh on him. Obviously, she's already a listed winner at Newbury this season. So I think he has a very high level of form. He's a half brother to Brazil of all horses. Podrick Roach has obviously been given the chance with him because he did so well with Brazil in winning this race. He won it off 137. I don't think Saratoga is going to have a mark anywhere near that. So that should help him. And obviously, he's a very classy flat horse as well, rated 92 in that sphere. So I think he's got everything going for him, and he looks like a proper plot, albeit this race actually looks pretty decent now with the likes of a Man Lager and stuff also in there.
Tom, anything at this stage that you've been impressive this season? Winston Jr. hacked up under Cobden at Ascot, for example.
I want to come back to Saratoga and the excellent job that Mark Walsh did last time. You know, the horse got in close and then he took him over the other side. It was the perfect performance from horse and rider for a handicap at the festival, and he executed it perfectly. So he has to be on the shortlist. I think he's way better than the mark. He'll be allotted. But the other thing about that race is, you know, was Band of Outlaws a fab when he won it? But you've got to look for bigger prices. Like Gaelic Warrior got beaten off 129 by Brazil. So I think if you play towards the top of the market a lot, you might get your fingers burned. But yeah, Saratoga does just look an obvious one, but I'll have one in with a massive price on board. Do you want me to go to other handicaps now as well?
Yeah, if you've got anything in for the Ultima next up, is there anything from that point of view that you'd like, or if not?
So, yeah, I mean, I'm always going to play British trained horses probably towards the top of the market in that contest. I'm still a big fan of Confusions, who was, you know, given that Gold Cup entry. And I wouldn't judge him too harshly on what happened at Haydock last time. I'm not sure he loves the track so much, to be honest, but I still think he's got a little bit of room off his current mark of 145. And I'm also Johnny Who has been on my. I need to get stuck. I need to see if he runs in the race. I wouldn't back him now. He's just a horse who I have tried to keep on side a few times, much to my cost, I'm afraid. He obviously ran in the Kim Muir last year and was beating the neck with Derek O'Connor booked. This race, you want to stay to win it, and I know Jaguar's at the top of the market. I'm not sure, unless it's changed in the last year or two, but not many horses have won this having never tried 3 miles before. But I would, yeah, Johnny Hugh I think is very interesting for it if he lines up, and I like Confusion as well. But I'll be playing top of the market UK trained horses.
Johnny Who at 12-1 and Confusion at 16. So as Tom said, Jaguar, your 5-1 favourite. My Town at 10s. King of Answers at 12s, both for Lucinda Russell and Michael Scudamore. Irish Train runner there, Back Me or Sack Me at 14s. Quebec Qua's another one in at 12, similar price in Iroko. Jake, do you have any sort of feel on this race?
I feel like Tom's stolen my notes because Confusion is the one that's top of my list. Yeah, I thought that the race that he ran in last time.
Desperate stuff. I
know. This is mental, yeah. So Confusion, yeah. When he ran the last day in the Peter Marsh, he was having his 5th run in 77 days, which I think is probably something that counted against him. It also developed into a bit of a sprint to the line with Imperial Saint, showing that the better turn of foot. So I think there are excuses for that. He still ran to a really good level in 3rd, only beaten a couple of lengths. He's £3 better off with the winner now in the Ultima. So I think he's got loads going for him. He's been given a break by Joel Parkinson since then. A couple of easy weeks, obviously, to get him ready for Cheltenham. And the only concern you really have is that he's not run at Cheltenham before, so you don't know how he'll handle the track. But I think that everything is in his favour. He's got the right profile to be an Ultima winner, that's for sure.
Okay, that's that race. What about, though, the 440, where Jaguar again is the favourite in the plate? That's over that 2.5 miles, 6-1, along with Madara, who's caught the eye for a few people this year. One horse who hasn't really turned up yet is McClory for Emmett Mullins with his 7-1, Vincenzo at 8s, and Jacob's Ladder at 10s. Just a word on Jaguar. Tom, you already mentioned about maybe not seeing out the trip he went up to the Ultima. What about in this race? Do you think he should be going here instead of a Ryanair, for example?
Well, no, the Ryanair could be so shallow. But then where are they going to run Jumbo on there? But I mean, the first 3 in the betting for the Ryanair probably going to line up. So I don't know the answer to that. I think ultimately I'd rather have him over the intermediate trip, but I'm not sure where he will or should run, to be honest, Jaguar. For the race itself, I'm interested in where De Bromhead's pair that I have in front of me line up. Like Slade Steele is a horse that's had a few knocks because he's finished 2nd a few times. But I do think he wants shorter. I think an intermediate trip handicap could be very interesting. Obviously, you wait to see what mark he's going to get over fences. He's currently 1-4-3 in Ireland, so he could look a well-treated horse, Slade Steele. I'd be interested in him, but I'm not sure exactly where he's going to line up because he's also got the novice option.
12-1 then for Slade Steele at the moment with Coral. Anything that catches your eye in this, Jake?
I think Madara's a deserving favourite. Obviously, quite short now. I wouldn't be getting stuck into the prices currently. I'd probably wait to the day. But McClory, I think, is the talking horse, is the one that's going to be coming here and has been mapped out for it. I'd imagine over the Cheltenham preview circuits, he'll get a lot of mentions. So it'd be very interesting to see how he goes. He's been given a very interesting campaign of offences, let's say.
Okay, that's that race. Then a brief look at the finale, which is the National Hunt Chase. 7-1 favourite, 6-1 favourite. Though is Back Me or Sack Me, along with Argento Boy. 7s for Joystick and Newton Tornado. 9-1 for Wade Out. 10-1 for the Jukebox Kid. The one I like in this, I'm actually quite strong on Newton Tornado. I think this horse is going from strength to strength. Gone up £6 for winning at Doncaster last time out. Did disappoint at Newbury back just after the Christmas period, but seems like he prefers a bit of cut in the ground, and I think he stays longer than the mother-in-law. And believe me, with mine, that's a long time. So I think he's one to note in this race. I wouldn't have Argento Boy. I was at Leopardstown a couple of times when he's run, and I think he is a stayer, but I think he's a bit of a plodder. But let's see. Tom, anything in that makes appeal?
Nothing for me at this stage in that race.
Jake?
Yeah, Argento Boy's interesting. He's rated 144 in Ireland, so I'd imagine when we get the weights out, he'll probably be too high for this race because it's a 0-145. Like you, Newton Tornado is top of my list. We're either going to have a really good day here, aren't we, or a really bad day. But yeah, Newton Tornado, the time he recorded the last day where he won at Doncaster as he liked, it was a proper bolt-up performance. Was actually a time quicker than the Great Yorkshire Chase on the same card the race before. I know they were two differently run races, but he still recorded a better time, and that marks him out as a serious horse for me. And obviously he's off a mark of 133. Haiti Colours was off 135 last year. I'm not saying he's anywhere near as good as Haiti Colours, but at least he's a horse with a very similar profile for Rebecca Curtis, and she knows how to train the winner.
Okay, good stuff. So there's some selections for the handicaps on day one of the Cheltenham Festival. Right, to finish then, let's try and get the best bets from the lads at this stage. an advert from our show Corals. This is the 100-second Coral Cheltenham briefing, because Coral's celebrating 100 years in giving away 100,000 free bets every day of the festival at Cheltenham. So you've got 100 seconds to tell us why your pick wins. Jake, do you want to go first? And I'll get the clock ready.
I will be going with Lossiemouth for the Champion Hurdle. I think she'll turn up here. I don't want to get into the argument, but this is the race for her. She's a very talented mare. She has the Cheltenham form. She's 4 from 4 at the track. She's won an international hurdle at the track. She's won 2 of the major Irish Champion Hurdle trials this season in Ireland as well. Obviously, she's got that form to reverse with brighter days ahead from the Dublin Racing Festival, but on some better ground, back at a track she loves compared to brighter days ahead, who doesn't love it as much. I think that she's just got absolutely everything in her favour. Paul Townend would be on. Willie Mullins is the king at Cheltenham.
Very easy. 35 seconds. Right, Tom, who is your nap for?
Do you have to? You don't have to fill 100 seconds.
No, that was very smooth and only if you want to waffle. Right, Tom, when you're ready, go.
My best bet for day one is Old Park Star. I was tempted to go with Lossiemouth as well, but I'll go again. Well, I won't agree with Jake too much. So Old Park Star in the opener, perfect profile for the race. Nicky Henderson's recent record is exceptional. And I'm also not the biggest fan of those up against him in the market or closest to him in the market. Talk the talk. I'm not convinced as a jumper, and I don't like horses that get out of trouble horse, if you like, which he was last time coming into this. Whereas I think Old Park Star is much more straightforward. He's got a good bit of experience. He looked very, very good last time. I'd prefer it if you're ridden on the speed in the race, which he will be, although I don't think he'll lead. And yeah, I think he's the standout 2-mile juvenile hurdler so far between Britain and Ireland. And the fact that he hails from 7 Barrows for this race is even more of a plus. So Old Park Star to win the opening race at Cheltenham 2026.
65 seconds. Lovely. And I will finish with Newton Tornado. Already really mentioned that horse in the National Hunt Chase. As Jake says, Rebecca Curtis has already got a good record in the race as well. I just think he's a horse who might be tailor-made for this sort of test and trip. He's a pretty good jumper. I'd obviously prefer a bit of cut in the ground as well, but I think he makes plenty of appeal in a race where you could have a few line up in this, the likes of Wade Out, Argento Boy, who I think they've got a bit of class, but maybe this lad might just have a little good mix of having one over shorter, but also being open to a fair bit more improvement over this trip. So that's day one of the Cheltenham Festival done and dusted. Jake and Tom will be back to preview day 2. Thanks very much, chaps, for being on this episode. And remember, with Coral's free-to-play reward shaker, there are 100,000 free bets up for grab every day of the festival. That's Cheltenham more rewarding. Download the app, shake your phone, and you can get one of those £100,000 free bets, hopefully. Thanks again for watching. Look forward to watching all the action, of course, from the Cheltenham Festival live on Racing TV. Be showing every race. And, of course, there'll be Mark Your Card every day previewing all the action from Prestbury Park. Thanks for watching, and please remember to gamble responsibly.